Y'all know what it is. Tap in. Peace world was good. It's White King back on the air. You know what it is. We're at Africa Town, Black Dot Underground Studios, and I got a special guest in the building today. My good brother, you know, the founder of Outside Think, you know, one of the co-founders of Black Dot, artist, entrepreneur, creative, Mujale Interview. Welcome, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so, you know, for those that don't know, let them know a little bit, you know, about yourself and your background.
Yeah, as White King said, co-founder of Black Dot, founder of Outside Think, visual artist, teacher, drawing and painting since I was 3 years old, and have a whole entire team that rocks with me, and we're doing a lot of things in the community that we're trying to build. So, yeah. Yeah, for people that don't know, so I'm originally from Zambia, Africa. Started drawing and painting when I was 3 years old, and that's what set the foundation for the things I do today. Throughout the years, I was always into art. On college age is when I was trying to go more commercial in terms of like having my art be pushed. So with that, I couldn't find photographers or folks of that nature to really take pictures of my art. So I'm like, I'm gonna go back to school and, you know, learn how to do it so I can pursue this. So I did that, and during that time, I found a lot of my friends also needed the same services that I needed. So I was like, all right, let me start expanding this to like where I can help my friends and the community grow as well. So around the time that like I got out of school, I was doing that as well as I started getting more into teaching, like art and animation. So with all that being put together, fast forward to this day, you know, where I'm all about business development, one of the co-founders of Black Dot, and my business now, Outside Think, helps other artists and community people build their dreams, and I help with the visual side of things. So still using my art to help my friends and myself really build and grow together.
Yes, man. Man, you got some iconic things too. You like, you know, when people see that Africa Town Seattle logo,
yeah,
they looking at, you know, your work, huh?
Yeah.
How you feel about that? That's pretty major.
Right. I didn't know how epic it was gonna be, you know. I was like, all right, like I was definitely behind the vision, because I'm like, yeah, that's a good concept, you know, the way Chinatown kind of goes back and forth, and to have that foundation in this community was very vital. And I'm like, that's a vision I can stand behind. And with that, and that pouring, you know, my heart and soul into creating that logo and really seeing the vision behind it really excited me. So a lot of this too is like, when I see visions, you know, I can also, it gets me excited. And that's where some of the inspiration and like determination comes from too, because some of these, I mean, they look easy, but some of them are not easy. And it's like a lot of love and passion put into some of those projects, so.
Definitely. That was almost 10 years ago, man.
Right.
So it was really more in the conceptual stage.
Yeah.
And you brought that to life in terms of the logo.
Thank you.
And then we've been working all this time to bring it to the life in terms of brick and mortar and
Right.
reality. And, you know, it's come a long way.
A long way.
That's a big part of it, man. You definitely put your mark on history. I know, you know, in more ways than one, but that's definitely one. And I'm sure there's more to come. So I heard you was on your way to the NFL. Or you had NFL dreams. You know, you was a Friday Night Lights guy.
He's gonna bring
right?
that back. I was not ready.
So you were an athlete at one time.
Yeah, I was, and that was a huge passion of mine. I think one of my turning points was actually at a really great camp, and then one of the coaches like pulled me aside. He's like, "Man, I love your style, you know, and you're great, you know, but." To be honest, you know, we can't recruit you because you're undersized for our team. You know, you don't fit the kind of running back that we want. So with that, I started like thinking, you know, like I didn't want to be conformed to that box where, again, where a coach hires me and I'm giving my all and ride and die. And then at the same time, he could just take me off the field, or he has too much control over my future.
Right.
So with that, I felt like my art is like something that I had more control over than playing sports.
That's a powerful statement there, you know, that and something that, you know, when people are marginalized or they, you know, in a space in life where they feel like they don't have control, art is a great outlet because it allows you to create worlds of your own, right?
Yes.
You know, you through your own imagination, and then, you know, bringing it to life through whatever medium that you do, whether it's writing or painting or video or music, whatever, and you do have control. So that's something that we should, you know, I think encourage our young people too, because a lot of times in a world that's dominated by others, they can get that sense of power, right? So you basically hung up the cleats. And
it was tough, but
and what tools did you pick up at that point? Did you immediately dive into the art as your, you know, basically career path, life path, or was there like a transition period?
Yes, there was definitely a transition period. So during school, you know, I was working like little minimal jobs like security, 24-hour fitness. I worked at Starbucks. Even Starbucks, they started hanging out my art again, you know, but even with the art, I was still trying to find myself who I really was. When I started putting some of my art in cafes, I started having a good return. And every single time I put something up, I'd always sell something. So that was very encouraging. But that also started burning me out because it took a lot of effort to create some of those pieces. And then, like, yes, folks were buying them, but I'm like, man, if like it was like almost taken over because at the same time it was like, if I'm creating this art all the time, then I'm not loving it as much anymore because now it became not just a social therapy, but it became like, you know, like every day. A job. You got to like produce and produce and produce. And with that, I started having headaches. And I was like, you know, I was really stressed around that time and it started affecting my health. So that's why I had to kind of reevaluate, like, how do I approach this art in a more like realistic, healthy way?
Right. That's an interesting point. You spoke, you know, you gave a little insight into your background. You've been doing art since you was a young child, and then really kind of seemed like how you got into the entrepreneur, which is you basically had to help yourself. You had issues, people weren't looking out, so you started helping yourself.
Exactly.
Saw other people needed help, and then that led to the birth of Outside Think.
Yep.
And speak a little more about what Outside Think Agency actually is and does.
Yeah. What we do with folks is we give them like visual branding, content marketing services. So that means like we actually have a checklist, you know, so we sit down with you and be like, all right, you want to start a bakery company. All right, do you have the tools, the visual tools necessary? Do you have a logo? Do you have a brand guide? Do you have handouts you can do like business cards? Do you have photos, videos? What's your platforms? Are your platforms ready for you to sell? So things of that nature. So once we evaluate them and then we tell them, you know, what the stuff they need. If they don't have, some folks have all of it, some folks don't have any of it. So we tell them before we can work with you, you got to have this checklist complete. Once they get that complete, then we can actually start working with them. And then we create strategies around that. And then through those strategies, we help them create content to reach their goals.
Sounds like you striving to help artists not be starving artists, right?
Exactly.
To really, you know, maximize, you know, the economics from their creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because even a lot of the artists, they're great and talented, you know, but you got to take care of the fundamentals, you know. If you don't have business, your business. And that's where a lot of folks are like, you know, they weren't thinking of themselves as a business. Like, no, I'm an artist. Like, no, man. First of all, that's where you're starving artist because you're not thinking of yourself as making money. You know, that was very looked down upon to think of yourself as making money like several years ago. But I like how it's changing. So,
I think you probably part of that. You know, you've shown that you've been able to, you know, become full time in your creativity, right, and sustain yourself.
Yep.
So I know, you know, it's never easy, right? Always, you know, it's like, you know, the 10-year overnight success, right? So can you speak about maybe some of the challenges that you've had along the way of, you know, being a creative and being an entrepreneur, you know, on your path?
Part of the first challenge was probably discipline and not knowing what to do with all like with your time now, because you come from a place of like structure, you know, where whether you have a 9 to 5, you're always looking for somebody to give you your work schedule. You're always looking for that person to tell you what to do. That's where a lot of people find comfort in that, you know. And when you don't have that person anymore, but you got to tell yourself that, you got to tell yourself to wake up when you don't want to wake up. That's a hurdle that like takes a lot of rewiring in the mind, you know, and I feel like that's where a lot of people get stuck because it's not comfortable to be an entrepreneur, especially starting out. Once you start getting over like, all right, I didn't wake up because I didn't want to wake up, and now I just lost a full day, and now I don't have any money to basically go to the grocery store and get some food. Then that's when reality really hits. So a lot of folks run back to the work environment after that, and I've wanted to run back several times, after I've had a couple of those, but that's where you got to find ways to tough it out still in that moment. Yeah, it's basically sink or swim, and it's up to you to do it, and that's where that comes in.
Not for the weak.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So what was the time that you made that transition? Like, how long have you been full time, and when did you what was that process like?
My first jobs out of school was I was working for an animation company, and he was an entrepreneur, and I purposely I wanted to work behind him because again, he had started this company from scratch, and I kind of got to see the day-to-days of seeing somebody filling out his own books, his work schedule, his personal life, and through that, I adopted some of those characteristics. Long story short, it ended up where he was very frustrated with the team, so he kind of wanted to go back to just himself, because when he first started, he had built out this team to now it was the biggest ever. We had 10 folks on the staff, when it started with just 2 people, So he was overwhelmed. He's like, I don't want a staff anymore. I just wanted to kind of do my own thing. So he kind of fired all of us. And so I ended up going on unemployment for a little bit. And through that unemployment, I had a chance, when it was starting to run out, where do I now just go back to my find another job, or do I just keep doing this full time? And that's where a lot of folks in the community were now able to become clients, and that kind of helped me transition to full time. And with that, yeah, it takes effort, from the community as well.
So building a community and building relationships, you're saying, is one of the keys to your success?
Yes, definitely. It's probably the number one key, is after finding a way to stay disciplined, and manage your own time, then build that community of loyal people that will come back to you and need your services. Right.
And, what are some of the other keys to your, to your success to this point?
Yeah. So, just building community, discipline, and also sticking to some foundations. So a lot of it too was understanding the back ends of what it really takes is so administrative work is something that a lot of folks don't like to hear and talk about because that's boring stuff, But a big transition point was when I got merchant services. I use Square now. I use QuickBooks, and I use a couple other services, but all makes it very easy for me to invoice folks and keep track of things and keep track of books. When I first started, filling out an invoice, that was a tedious task that used to take me a day to do, and it was very, it was hard. Sometimes, you just want to get the job, you just want to do the job and get it done, and that's it. But you also got to realize, there's levels outside of just you doing the job. You got to keep on your books. You got to have a good invoice policy because if you don't have that, then you won't get paid as quickly as you need to get paid sometimes.
Right. It sounds like technology is a key piece too, leveraging technology to support your operations.
Exactly, and technology has definitely changed a lot to fit my needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts about, the work of Africa? Obviously, you've been involved, you did the logo, and you've watched the growth. What are some of your thoughts, and what is Africatown and the vision to develop, Black entrepreneurs and Black community and continue this legacy from the Central District in Seattle? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that means a lot to me because I feel like a lot, even my business has been able to grow because of being under the umbrella of the Africatown community. Because with that also teaches a community how to also grow together. It was also it offered me jobs, in terms of teaching. It offered me insight in terms of helping with workshops and being in those rooms where I could be educated. So Africatown is huge. It's game changing too, because it now even makes you think bigger in terms of like now even starting to think about connecting back to Africa, and now how do we spread some of our skills over there and have take some of those knowledge and bring it here.
Yeah, so you're one of the ambassadors. You're
Yeah, exactly,
ambassador to Zambia. We got our own kind of African Union, formulating, right?
Exactly. So yeah, definitely. The biggest takeaway from Africa is like Africatown's given me like a bigger vision. You know, it's like how do we create these pathways, and that's what even influenced the checklist and some of the tools that OST uses. With that vision of creating pathways, we were able to take that too, and now start creating pathways using our skill sets. You know, because it's not just about us as individuals, but it's also about like, you know, how do we now grow as a whole. You know,
speak about some of the projects that you've worked on that people can see, in the public view.
Yeah, so HCAACD, part of the part of the arts district initiatives. So I was able to create their logo as well, and their logos is the logos actually put on all the street signs or street lights and on the corners and some of the businesses around here, and basically that logo has become a symbol for arts in the central area. So yeah, I'm very proud of that logo, and it's cool to see like me walking down the street and I see it in like a black-owned business is a window, and sometimes I just like going there and talking to the business like, oh, like I like your logo, like what is that about? So it's kind of cool. I like being anonymous in a way, just so I can like get insight from folks and just hear what they have to say about it, and like also get ideas from that as well. But it's cool to see like when a black-owned business looks at that logo with pride, and be like, yes, like that's what we're, that's what we're about.
Man, so you made a mark in history here, man. I don't know if it's ever been looked at like that, but you definitely have made your mark, literally.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah, thank you.
You also pass it on to the next generation. So
right.
You do some teaching. Can you speak about some of the teaching that you do in education and arts?
Yeah, so that's where actually I learned a lot from teaching. That's why I still love teaching, is because like that's where I actually learn the most these days. Even like with the young geniuses, I got to teach your kids, Walik and Amari, and just like seeing some of their growth as well, as now they're becoming entrepreneurs and artists, and yeah, seeing that skill set is what makes it worth it, and even those times, where like, even seeing the way they on the playground and hang out with them and kind of seeing, their thought process and just being able to educate them that way has been some amazing experiences, Going back to, growing up, I didn't have a lot of like teachers that looked at me that like took that kind of, like could speak to me that way. So that's where, having those opportunities to like speak to them that way and like seeing them get excited from like, oh, I don't want to do this project anymore, to like, oh, I love this project, and seeing that transition is also something that's very rewarding to me. So
definitely. So we pretty much at our time, but we got to get in our dropping gems. So, what are 3 gems or jewels that you would give to someone, to creative entrepreneurs?
I say one thing is I like that Proverbs, success looks like falling down 7 times but standing up 8. So that's the main thing, is like resiliency. It's not gonna be that easy, even though like sometimes it's like you work so hard to make something look easy, and I feel like that's some folks that like fall for the easiness of that are the ones that are not ready, So that's probably the main thing is, and then second one is having vision, basically like you have to have, don't just do things for the sake of doing, just don't try to just make money for the sake of making money, or you see like somebody's hopping on to like get rich quick scheme. Think about what you're doing, and really think about it. And then from that's when like success will really come for you, is like taking the time to sit and think, and then building from that instead of trying to hop on all these
trends, whatever the new wave is.
Yeah, because you might make a couple $1,000, but it's not as, you're not gonna make as much as when you sit down and think about your vision and then start pursuing that more. Right. So that's the second one, and the third one would probably be surrounding yourself with the right types of people. I know, actually, probably not everybody's heard this, and they need to hear this. It's like, some folks surround themselves with people that are like are not as smart as they are, so that way they can feel the smartest in the group, and then they can just stay in that level. But yeah, surround yourself with folks that will challenge you, and yes, it's also good to have folks that you can encourage, that like they might in your head they might not be as motivated as you, so have those folks around that you can motivate them. And if you can have the skill set or vision to think of a place where they could fit in your life where it's still beneficial to you and to them, then definitely do that. But just don't have folks who are kind of like in your life, that because you only I feel like you only live once, and we have time is the most like precious thing we have. And you don't want to surround yourself with people that are wasting your time and are not adding to like value. And I feel like once you start surrounding yourself with folks that have, first of all, you thought about your vision and what you want, and then folks that also can complement that vision and get you to those places, then that's when I feel like then you're on the right path that way.
Yes. What are 3 books that have put light on your path or profoundly affected the way you move in the world?
Ooh. Man, there's where do I start? Atomic Habits is one of them. Another one is, I want to say 48 Laws of Power. Just because it got me thinking in ways.
Now I know I gotta watch you, man. I gotta watch you, man. I be watching the 48 Laws of Power cast, man.
Yeah. 48 Laws of Power is like one that like, just it's good to know that stuff. I feel it's important for like a lot of folks just to like have that kind of knowledge in their wheelhouse. I feel like some folks, depending on their vision, that's how they utilize it, and some folks don't utilize it responsibly. That book can be used for good. The last one, it's been a foundation in my life. There's so many other books I'm thinking about, but like the Bible has been something that has been like a part of my life from I grew up on the Bible. Definitely read it a lot differently than I did back when I was younger, but there's some things that still need to be discussed in there, and I feel like that's still an important part of my life, that book.
Definitely. In real time, who are some of your current, inspirations or models that you follow?
Yeah, there's several of them. One of them's you. You do a lot of great work. So there's. Yeah, I look up to you that way.
You don't get no free points for that. You know what I'm saying?
I get 7
no
free
extra
points.
contracts for that.
I like Basquiat for just like what he like the stamp he put on the art scene, and the way he did it. So. I like him for that. So there's a whole bunch that come to my head, but I'm just gonna say the first ones. I still like I like Jay-Z. I like just the way he's able to build himself. And come up, and was not easy. And it took a lot of discipline, and that's where my equation. I'm trying to think about how do I get more discipline to like be able to start like achieving things like that. So I appreciate for that discipline. So
cool. Any good podcasts, blogs, YouTube channels that help you keep you on your toes?
Valuetainment, I really like Valuetainment.
Okay, I'm into that one.
Yeah, I watch a couple of Joe Rogan, but like it's just more for entertainment.
That's needed too.
Yep,
that's needed too. Everything can't just be what I mean.
Right.
So it's been real. It's been good. To tap in with you. You're one of the what we would say, hidden gems, hidden treasures of Africatown and our Black community here. Constantly rising and contributing and finding places to bring your brilliance to the benefit of our community, our entrepreneurs, businesses, and other creatives as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we appreciate you. So what I want to do is tap out. But I'm tapping in at the same time because we never tap out, you know? So y'all know what it is. Tap in, don't tap out. Why King? Until the next episode. Peace.